Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Joanna Nelson, and I'm with the New Mexico Economic Development Department. And you have tuned in today for an update that we want to give our stakeholders about the statewide comprehensive economic development strategy today. And I'm also joined by my colleague Felicia DePaula, who will be joining us in just one second. But before we get started, I did want to let everyone know that this session is being recorded. And so if you have to jump off, no problem. We will send the recording after the presentation as well. We'll send the slides if you need those too. If you have questions while we're going along, feel free and submit those in the little gray box that you should see on the right side of your screen. And we'll do our best to address those during the session. And if we don't get to them, we will take them afterwards. So again, thank you so much for joining us. And we're really excited to share this project with you and are really thrilled and excited to get your feedback. So we wanted to provide a little bit of an overview of this project and how it came to be. Unfortunately, our Deputy Cabinet Secretary, John Clark, was not able to join us today. He was going to give the precursor to this presentation. He was having internet difficulty. I think there's some internet trouble down in Albuquerque today. So unfortunately, he couldn't make it, but I'll go ahead and provide that overview for everyone. So this comprehensive economic development strategy, it's a mouthful that otherwise we're referring to as the statewide plan or the statewide CEDS, came about from an EDA grant that we received last year at the beginning of the fall from the Economic Development Administration, the federal EDA program, the funding that they had received from the CARES Act that was passed. So we received funding. A portion of that project is funding this planning initiative. And so our hope is that we are going to look at short-term recovery, 5-year, kind of a midpoint, and a 20-year strategy to look at how we can diversify our economy and how we can address recovery initiatives. And this is the first time in a long time that at least the state agency, the State Economic Development Department, has taken a statewide collaborative approach of bringing together input from all regions of the state in order to develop strategies for economic diversification and advantage and impact. So we're going to be looking at the 9 targeted sectors that the governor, Michelle Lujan Grisham, has identified. And within those 9 targeted industries, we'll be looking to develop unique strategies for those. And we will be looking at data from the local levels, data that's already been compiled, regional plans that have already been written. We don't want to recreate the wheel. So that's where we're engaging our stakeholders and especially our council of government to figure out what are the plans that have already been created that we can look at and build from there. And we're also going to be conducting interviews and compiling information through surveys. And we'll get into the details in just a little bit. At the end of this project that should complete by the fall, sometime in September, we want to have complete action items and a complete action plan for not only our department, but our partner agencies, as well as our regional EDOs and local governments to implement. We do want to let everyone know that the contractor that we're going to be working with is a firm called SRI International, and they are a nonprofit with a lot of experience in statewide economic development strategies and plans. So we're really excited to be working with them. Another part of the EDA project that we are engaged in and are really excited to share is that we've been able to hire 3 new additional staff people to the EDD team. And we're looking at this as an EDD recovery team. So on the screen, we wanted to present you with some information about how you can get a hold of this team and what they will be working in. And so you can see Jennifer Myers, Statewide Disaster Recovery Coordinator. She'll be working with the regional recovery coordinators that the COGs are working with. And she'll also be working with issues around access to capital and helping us with our business finance finder initiative. Alex Greenberg is new to the team as well. He'll be the financial program specialist. And Alex is really going to focus on helping us to improve our funded platform and opportunity zone initiative. And then Felicia DePaula, which I mentioned, and you can see is joining us. She is our program specialist and will be helping us not only coordinating with the statewide plan, but also with our rural efficient business program and looking at ways of how we can connect businesses to resources around energy efficiency and renewable energy systems. And we got some really exciting news. It's really timely. Right before we went live with this presentation, we got an update from MNERD, our partner agency, Energy, Minerals, Natural Resource Department, that they posted a position that just went live that is a part of this project as well. It's our 4th position that we're bringing onto this recovery team that will be housed at MNERD, but that position is live, and that the title is the Economic and Energy Diversification Coordinator. And so if you know anyone that is interested in economic development as well as energy systems, energy efficiency, and energy conservation, I would encourage them to apply. So any questions, reach out to us. We're really excited. That's been the missing link to our recovery team. So finally got that public. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Felicia, and we are going to tag team and give you information about the statewide plan, give you an overview, and give you some information about how you can engage and we can gather your input. Felicia?
Great. Thank you, Joanna. So what we're looking at here is basically the harmonized schedule that SRI has created. This shows beginning in March and ending in September, and I'll go into better detail in our next slide. But this is just a nice visual to go ahead and look at how the tasks will be accomplished and how EDD will work hand in hand with SRI during this whole process. So this next slide that we're going to look at is our schedule of deliverables. SRI completed a revised project plan in late March to harmonize the schedule and deliverables for the data collection and coordination and industry strategies. So this will be a 6-month timeline beginning March 23rd, which is the revised date, and ending September 7th. Our number 2 deliverable will be the draft economic assessment, which will focus on performance at the state and the CSA and MSA level, as well as focusing on the performance of New Mexico's target industries with reference to performance within New Mexico's COG regions. So our 3rd deliverable will be SRI will then provide a draft of the asset map that EDD will review, and then this will include the initial insights from the stakeholder interviews and supplemental data collection. We then move into the final version of the economic assessment, which is the target industry, the SWOT analysis, suitability matrix, and the asset map to EDD. So that'll all happen around July 13th. Finally, we'll move into the draft version with strategic goals, the action plan, and this document will provide a tentative roadmap for EDD to achieve the objectives laid out throughout the report. This is something that will be worked on closely with EDD, determining action items that are relevant to our mission as well as the stakeholders. And then finally, on September 7th, that is our target date to complete the final economic plan. This will include the economic assessment, the SWOT analysis of each target industry, suitability matrix for target industries in each COG region, an asset map, and a strategic direction with vision, strategic goals, and an action plan. Accompanying the final economic development plan will be a series of infographics that easily communicate the suitability of various target industries within each COG region. Then we're going to move into the collection of existing data. SRI has been provided with a list of the point of contacts for all of the COGs. We completed that last week. So the COGs are essentially going to be leading their regional planning efforts and connecting SRI to key stakeholders. The point of contacts in EDD will then work together with the connection of SRI to potential interviewees. And this is where Joanna had mentioned that we'll be including the existing data plans and surveys that can be sent directly to myself, and we'll include my contact information at the end of the presentation. Then we move into the survey portion. So SRI is asking economic development practitioners, government agencies, and industry representatives and other key stakeholders in the state to complete a survey. SRI will collect the survey responses and then analyze them to identify trends in New Mexico's approach to economic development. For this survey and any subsequent follow-up interviews, SRI will compile responses and report on the aggregate data. Accordingly, SRI will not identify respondents and publish reports without written permission. And then finally, we're going to move on to the economic assessment. And this will focus on demographics, labor, market and workforce, business context, innovation and entrepreneurship, and finally, infrastructure and environment, essentially just focusing on energy use and production. And I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Joanna.
Great, thanks, Felicia. And I see a couple of questions coming in, so feel free, ask questions. We also have a chat too, if you want to write who you're representing or any bits of information, feel free. So one of the deliverables that SRI will be delivering is a target industry SWOT analysis and also an analysis on the suitability for each one of these industries, looking at each region and identifying strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, as well as the advantages that a region has in terms of developing these industries. And so you can look and see that through these lenses of short-term, medium-term, and long-term, SRI will focus on these particular topics. And as you can see, for example, short term is looking at business retention, workforce recovery, supply chain recovery, reskilling, and retraining. These are meant to be an example of what SRI will be identifying. However, it's not a comprehensive list, and so this is apt to change and will be incumbent upon looking at the data that is coming back. But I did see a question come through. What are the 9 targeted industries that the governor has identified are a focus? And you can see those listed in these circles. Also, SRI will be presenting an asset map. And so they are looking at state level, and they're looking at a smaller, more focused level, region, and local level. And so they're within those purviews, they're looking at physical infrastructure, quality of life, economy, natural resources, governance, innovation, ecosystem, and the topics that they might include are listed here. So an example might be within the physical infrastructure is an asset, transportation, housing, broadband, and the list goes on. But this will be really interesting to see, and of course this will be broken down by region, and it'll be very informative. So we wanted to make sure and make it clear the action items of how our stakeholders and how our partners can get involved. This is a state plan. It's really important that everyone is engaged and the buy-in is there in terms of this plan can only be as strong as the input that we are collecting. So we want to make sure that we have the plans that are out there. We've said this a few times, but if there is a plan in your region that is relevant to economic development or community development, make sure that we have that in our compiled folder that we're sharing with SRI. Felicia mentioned that the COGS have submitted their regional CEDS. We have a number of plans. We're working closely with Indian Affairs as well as Department of Workforce Solutions. So we have 2 big comprehensive plans that they have just enacted. We have the Climate Task Force, Climate Action Plan, to name a few. So please get us some relevant data and information that we want to make sure and include that they can see. Engage. How can you engage with this plan? Felicia already mentioned this, but we are directing a lot of inquiries to our COGS, to the COG directors. So you can go that route. You can reach out to the COGs. You can also reach out to Felicia or myself, and you'll be able to fill out an online survey. That online survey should be completed by the end of this week by SRI. And so that's going to be kind of more of a general survey that is available to the public and our stakeholders. When you signed up, we collected emails. So we'll be able to send that email out to you. And as well, if you're an economic development organization or a local government or an agency partner, you'll be able to send that out to relevant folks too. And then communicate, again, just honing in on helping us identify key data to include in the online platform. And so what that means is that's kind of a segue to the next slide. And I'll go ahead and cross over to that one. But a part of this project is the visualization piece. So our Cabinet Secretary, Alicia J. Keys, as well as Deputy Cabinet Secretary John Clark, were really keen on not wanting to create a plan that was standard and would just be created and sit on somebody's desktop somewhere on our website that nobody used. And so we will be contracting with a state business here in New Mexico that is going to help us take all of the data, take the action plans, take the strategies, and visualize that on an online platform that will be extremely user-friendly. It will present the data in an accessible way, as well have the strategies be able to be accessed and the ability to engage with them in a very easy way. So we're really excited about that. That platform will be available as soon as the plan is done. So we are shooting for beginning of September, and you can look for that at the same time. And so one of the key things, and we've been working with our Council of Government representatives, what data is important for economic development organizations or COGs or state agencies? And so that is something that throughout this process, we're going to be really curious about. If you have any input, please communicate that with us, and that'll help shape this tool so it is of value and can be accessible. All right, so we are wrapping up. We kept it really short and sweet. We want to have time to get to your questions, but while we have your attention, we never want to lose an opportunity to make sure that everyone is aware of the resources that are available for you. You can access our YouTube channel that has plenty of updates about especially recovery resources and financing opportunities. Here's our website, gonm.biz. Weekly wrap up. This is where, in fact, I just saw our Monday wrap up go out. This is where we're putting many resources and opportunities, webinars, news updates every week. So make sure you're getting that. And then here's our Facebook channel. Any news, any updates about this plan will be communicated through these channels. So it's important to sign up for those. Okay, that's an overview of our project. So let's go ahead and open it up for questions, and Felicia and I will be tag teaming these. And bear with us as I see some of these are kind of long. So we'll do our best to get through these. And Felicia, go for it if you see any.
Sure. Yeah, so we have an interesting one that came in. It says, is natural gas and nuclear energy a part of the sustainable and clean energy plan?
That's a good question. I don't know if we have any of our MNerd partners on. You know, I don't know for certain. So we will have to get that. Who asked that, Felicia? And we'll get that question answered to them.
Sure.
Oh, I do see Alyssa is on. Alyssa, if you're on, I'm going to unmute you. Hold on. We do have a partner from MNerd if she's available. I don't think I can unmute her. But anyway, okay, who was that, Felicia? And we'll get that answered.
I will get the name on that and definitely document it. Okay. This is probably a question we have an answer to is, would you like local municipal economic development plans? If so, who should they be sent to?
Sure, yes. Yeah, that is relevant. So I will go back to that slide that has our contact information, and you can send that to Felicia or myself. There we go. There's our contact information. And I'm going to throw it back to Alyssa one more time. Alyssa, if you're available in the chat and want to answer that question, go for it, or any of our MNerd partners. Okay. And then I see a question from Allison, who's saying, we have seen a high level of survey exhaustion and low response rates. How do you all plan on dealing with these issues? I'm really glad you asked this question, Allison, because we are just as much experiencing the fatigue of surveys, webinars, Zoom calls, you name it. And so that's real, and that's something that we're going to have to address. I think the difference in attempting a statewide assessment is SRI is really going to have the ability to look at planning that has already been done and directly contacting, especially the Council of Government Representatives, our direct contacts to get primary information. And so I think that's going to be pretty substantial. In addition, we're going to have the supplemental input from the big stakeholder pot. And so with those two, hopefully they will complement each other and fortify each other. But you're right, we're at a time when survey fatigue is real. So it's going to take all of us to work together to help create engagement around it. Hopefully it can help, Allison and all.
We have another one that came in about SWOT analysis. It says, will the target industry SWOT analysis look at comparative analysis with other states or just between regions in New Mexico?
Yes, SRI will not only be looking at a statewide assessment, but they'll also be looking at outside regions and seeing how New Mexico compares. Definitely. I think that'll be really fascinating.
We have another that says, will you be using regional location quotients and shift share analysis, etc., as part of your target industry SWOT analysis?
I'm going to have to see. Can you repeat that? I didn't quite hear that.
Sure. It says,
from
you see it there?
Okay. Yes. Oh, actually, I don't see it. I think I caught it. The SRI is going to be utilizing quite a bit of tools that they have in their toolbox. So, we are working with experts in the field and really, really excited to see what comes back. I don't see, I think you were talking about something like geographic
Yeah, it's
analysis.
using regional location potents and shift share analysis.
Yes, they will be.
Okay. There's also a question that says, will the final report provide policy recommendations?
Yes, I'm really glad that that question was asked. That is a big component of this plan, and that was a directive of our leadership team to not only have actionable strategies, but also be able to inform policy recommendations. And I see Priscilla Lucero is on, and she is the COG director from the Southwest region. And I just want to give a shout out to Priscilla. She was really instrumental in helping us with the RFP process and getting this on board. So thanks, Priscilla. Glad you're on.
There's Alyssa did respond, and she said, typically in regards to the question that asked, is natural gas and nuclear energy a part of the sustainable and clean energy plan? Alyssa says, typically natural gas is not included as clean energy. We would be focusing on solar, wind, biogas, etc.
Okay, great. I'm glad we got that answered by the expert. Thank you, Alyssa.
Someone also asked, Joanna, if you could put the resources page back up.
Sure. Oh, I think I'm going the wrong way. And I see that Jean is asking about the industry. So again, I'm going to put up the industries that are identified by the governor for folks to see. Let me pull this down. And Eric has a really good question. Are the titles of the industries locked in, or can they be adjusted during input processes? And I'm really glad you asked this question too. So SRI is looking at the industries that the governor has identified, and that's going to structure the perspective of this plan. However, they're also going to be expanding this too if something comes up, if there happens to be an industry that becomes highlighted that creates considerable impact and is completely suitable for a particular region, they will be including that as well. And I think that kind of gets to Jean's question too, because she's looking for information on tourism. So I hope that answers your question, Eric. And Harold is asking, are you going to post the slides somewhere? We are going to send these slides out, but that's a great idea. I think we could post these on our website too, because we really want people to be engaged and informed about where we're at in the process. So Harold, hopefully we can get these posted on our website. As mentioned, we received all of the emails that you submitted, and so we'll be informing the entire email list of every step moving forward. And let's see. Mariah is asking, and hey, Mariah, this is Mariah Tomor from EDG, the Director of Office of Science and Technology, about particular NAICS codes within each industry that SRI will be looking for. And so our economists looked at the industries and provided SRI with particular NAICS codes, and we can get those to folks too, maybe on that kind of informational landing page for the plan. We can provide the NAICS codes that were provided within each industry. So you can look at that. And Tim is talking about outreach, saying he wasn't aware of the effort until this morning, suggests making this more public. Great point, Tim. Yes, it's going to take all of us to get the word out. And so one of the ways, as I mentioned on this resource page, is us communicating with the public about our steps in the plan. This is kind of our kickoff, our public kickoff. SRI just got started. I think our contract was inked about 2 weeks ago. And so we're ready to get loud and annoying with this plan. And hopefully, as Allison mentioned, we're not being too annoying and increasing people's fatigue with surveys. But hopefully folks can see the value and the importance of this plan.
I did see another question, Joanna, that asks, are you addressing New Mexico's tax policy?
Yes, that will come into play. I think that was looked at within kind of the mid and long term lens. But yes, they will be looking at that. Is that an advantage or not, and having policy recommendations. Yeah, that'll be really interesting. And then Rob, too, thank you for mentioning. Rob Black is on, and he's the director of the New Mexico Chamber. And he's mentioning that NM Chamber and local chambers can help engage businesses and get the word out. Thank you, Rob. And I want to do a special shout out to Rob and the New Mexico Chamber. They've been really instrumental in their survey and planning efforts, and are supplying really great information and data for this plan too. So thank you, Rob, and thanks for all you're doing. And Tim is bringing up a great point. And I'm sorry everybody can't see this. I wish GoToWebinar had a chat function, but Tim is mentioning, in his opinion, being involved in economic development for a long time, our timeline seems very short. And the reason for that is not only because this is looking at a recovery timeline. We want to get information out that'll be valuable to our economy as we look for recovery, but also we want to get this by the upcoming fall legislature. We want this to be able to inform the legislative process in the fall. And so that's a reason why it is an aggressive timeline. But thank you for that, sharing that point. One of the things to mention too is that in this past legislative session, with the passage of Senate Bill 112 that created the Sustainable Business Task Force, this plan is also going to be used to inform that task force. And so specifically looking at energy diversification, economic diversification, and sustainable business practices. And so that act actually will enable this plan to be updated for the next 5 years. And EDD will be responsible for working with numerous agencies on this plan, updating it and presenting the findings to the legislature. And we'll take a few more questions. Do you see any more, Felicia? Or if anyone has any more to chime in?
Yeah, it looks like one just came through. It says, you mentioned transportation as an aspect or part of this plan. Are you coordinating with NMDOT? They're wrapping up their new long-range statewide transportation plan now or soon.
Paul, thank you for mentioning that. Let's get that plan in the folder and let's consider it. I don't think that plan has been updated or into our folder that SRI is referencing of our comprehensive survey of plans out there. So let's do that. As I mentioned, and Felicia did too, we're working really closely with the Council of Governments, and of course they have great intimate knowledge of the transportation planning efforts in their regions. But let's get MDOT's plan in there. So if you could send that, we will get that added.
We actually have it in there, just checked.
Oh, okay. Oh, great. Felicia, thanks. But it's good to highlight. There's a lag. So, okay. All right. Well, we will do our best to go back through these questions And if we did not get to one of them, we will send out, maybe we can compile these and send out the answers to everyone kind of as an FAQ. And then we'll send out the slides. We will send out the presentations. We'll go ahead and create a landing page on our website so you can stay informed, be providing this group updates. We also will send out the survey that will be completed by SRI. And please reach out to us, reach out to myself, reach out to Felicia. This is your plan, and let's work together and make this as strong as possible. So thank you all so much. I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Do you have anything, Felicia?
That's it. I just look forward to receiving everybody's information and plans. This is a really exciting effort.
Yes, agreed. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you all so much. And we will be following up. All right. Thank you. Take care.